welcome to Chats with Colleen. This is Colleen Pacheco and Sean Spazzato, the executive best producer ever, because I don't know what I'm doing.
You're sweet.
So we hope everybody's been having great weeks. The weather is amazing. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's so nice.
It's so nice. I wish it could stay like this year round, but unfortunately.
I feel like we only got this for a few weeks, and then it's going to be 60 million degrees.
Blazing hot. Yeah. So I feel like, I want to have the windows open, enjoy the cool morning, even though I'm like, it's cold. I'm like, no. It's nice. It's nice. So with that being said, how's your week?
You know, it was really good. Just getting some stuff done, making some moves, changing up work, kind of, I guess, like wrapping up old work, you know? But no, it's good stuff, I think. Like I'm planning this trip to Japan is like finally, oh my God, it's like almost here. It's so crazy. But yeah, just very productive. How about yourself?
The same, busy.
Yeah.
Changing stuff up. I'm still trying to redecorate my house so I can get the podcast room in a brighter, lighter room.
Yeah.
So we're working on that, doing that, but it's just fun. Enjoying the weather, enjoying the busyness, craziness of insurance world.
Yes.
On a daily basis.
Which we love and maybe sometimes don't love as much.
Sometimes we love it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to run and hide. Most days.
We want to like literally actually run away.
When I check my emails, this, but remember, I don't have control over everything.
You don't.
So, insurance companies, insurance carriers, and underwriters do what they want. I'm just here to interpret it as best I can for the clients. However, the companies aren't forgiving and the clients aren't very forgiving. So it's like a constant tug on all sides of the equation.
Yeah. No, it is. You know, it's so funny. I was editing one of your videos this week, and it was like about this guy, I guess, who he reached out to you. He was looking for a policy. He had a home inspection, like saw that his pipes were, I guess, like the polybutylene, and he had a massive leak and it destroyed his home. And he just wanted to put in a claim. He didn't care. Like, it was like, and you're like, this is like, what's wrong? This is why our rates are so high, because people do things like this, and it's ridiculous.
It keeps happening. So it's like the consumers are going to fix it. Yeah, the lawyers and the legislations, whatever possible.
Yeah.
But the consumers, the one who's using the product, when you keep using the product, it becomes exploited. It becomes thinned and becomes lacking. And that's what we're at right now.
Which is, it's actually so unfortunate. It was interesting when I was editing that video for you, because I remember shooting it with you, but then like it hit me like so much harder, like putting it together. I'm like, this is actually really this is fraudulent is what this is.
Borderline.
Yeah.
I don't like to say that word, but
no,
it's borderline. Yeah. That's what and some people have the aspect, well, that's what I pay for. That's what I pay insurance for. And I understand that from the other side, from being like a consumer. I understand that, but being an agent and being in the industry for such a long time, like decades, I see how it affects it and how we're in this position that we're in now because of that thought process.
Yeah.
So it is unfortunate, but it's what we're dealing with it. And if people, if it keeps going like this, it's going to be considerably high for a long time.
Yeah. So, maybe on a funner segue, how is Jenny's wedding planning coming along?
Well, good. So we're going to Vegas in October, so I got to start booking the flights and hotel rooms. But I'm on the mission to find a cake there because she wasn't going to have a cake. So I'm like, I'm going to get a cake. If anybody knows anywhere, a bakery or like even a Publix, or I've like, you just maybe a sheet cake.
In Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. Yeah. In Las Vegas, Nevada, because that's where the wedding is. Yeah. So I'm going to get her a cake.
I can't believe she doesn't want a cake.
Well, she wants one, but she hadn't thought about that.
Okay. Yeah.
And so nobody really suggested it, and so I'm like, I'm gonna get you a cake.
That is like your mission for her. That's sweet.
I may have to get my little portable wagon that I have from work and carry that thing around, but I'm gonna have a cake if somebody wants a piece of wedding cake. Of course it's gonna be chilled and everything, so it's safe.
Yeah, no, of course, like very by the book to the T. Perfect. Aw, that's actually really exciting stuff. I didn't know like what else, I guess, what was like left to be planned for her wedding. I don't know.
That's about it.
Yeah.
She's already got the facility, the hotel. It's just like kind of wing it.
Yeah.
She got the makeup and the hair. She has the dress and all that. She's got the flowers. So I'll try and coordinate picking them up, but I don't have a car. So where am I going to get, I guess, Uber and walking.
Yeah.
I don't mind walking as long as it's on the strip,
Have you?
or maybe they'll deliver the flowers for her. I'm thinking
I probably. I'm assuming. I'd like to think that's part of
maybe I
the
can get the
service.
cake delivered too.
That would actually be very nice and like easier for you. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Yeah, I'm excited for that trip.
It's
very
going to be a
much
lot of
so.
fun.
Yeah, I've never been to Vegas. I've only gambled like twice, and I
Oh.
lost like $50 both times. I'm not very skilled. I can't say I am.
You just go to the slot machines. I just pressed a bunch of buttons and
And,
I
like,
won
hope
a
for the
little bit, a
best.
couple $100. So,
Did you really? Wow.
so I've only been there once, but I've at least been there. I'm
Yeah.
shocked to find out like how many people haven't been there that are going to come along with us. I'm like, oh wow. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So today's guest is a great friend and a mentor of mine, Lizette Hernandez. She has like 10 hats that she wears in her life. I don't really know how she has enough time to hold it all together.
She's a very inspiring person.
Very
she is.
inspiring.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a subject that's a little bit sensitive with her husband being a vet and what she goes through and what he goes through. So I'm really excited to learn about that because I don't know anything about that, honestly.
Yeah.
Just what I've seen on TV and you hear, but we're going to learn about it like in detail. So I think that's going to be extremely fun.
I'm very excited for that as well. Maybe even a few tears might be shed.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Everything that most of the people that have been like chilling, inspiring stories, I pretty much have goosebumps like the whole time. And I don't know why, but now I realize why.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel cold, but it's from that. Their stories, they're so touching. So we're here today with Lizette Hernandez, who's a great friend and mentor of mine. She also has a lot of hats and titles, so I hope I don't skip one. She's not only a wife and a mother, a realtor, an investor, a caregiver, a mentor, a friend. Did I miss anything? And I'm
A
sure I
bike.
did. A biker. Oh my God. I missed that. So do you ride bikes or motorcycles?
I ride a motorcycle. I have my own motorcycle.
Oh,
Kawasaki Vulcan 900.
oh
That's
wow. That's amazing. That's probably very like liberating and freeing. That's great. And how
hmm
many children do you have?
I've had a total of 6 children.
Oh wow.
Five alive, and I have one in heaven. I did have a stillbirth in 2000. I mean, if my son was alive, he would kill me. Two, 2000 and hold on. 2016. Sorry.
Oh
2016.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's
Okay.
terrible.
Well,
But now
I'm
you have
also
you have an
yeah.
angel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm actually I mentor. I don't talk a lot about this. If you look at my Facebook enough, you can kind of figure it out. But I do mentor moms. I'm part of the Finley Project. I'm a volunteer there where when there's a mom that just had a loss and they try to match them with a mom that may be similar type of situation. And so I do that as a volunteer basis. They assign me a mom and I walk through them in their grief where they just happened. So because of
Oh
my son's
wow.
death, I do that that's it. So what I mean, it's a blessing too. It's brought good things.
Oh my God, I just got chills. You get to help people. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And also being a mother, you're a wife of a 9/11 war vet. So that's an also chilling title to have, but it's also a blessing because a lot of us don't understand what that really means. So I want to get into the questions. What branch of the military did your husband serve in?
He was in the Marine Corps.
Oh,
hmm
wow.
Yeah.
That's like the front lines, right?
Yeah. So from what I've been told, hopefully I think it's all true. My husband, we were in the military. He was in the military for years. So in the Marine Corps, you're always going to be, like you're always going to be ready to go to battle, I guess. Like you're always going to be in the front lines, no matter what position you get trained for. They train you to kind of go to war. I forgot what the word was, but yeah. So he pretty much came in as a cook, then he transitioned to a field cook, and then after getting to his first duty station, 9/11 happened. But before that, he was training because he was supposed to go on, typically in their 4 years in the military, they have to do what's called a MEU, or 6 months overseas of some kind. And at that time, I don't know if it's changed, but so instead of him going to the 6 month, what happened, 9/11 broke out exactly when he was supposed to go. So he got sent directly to Afghanistan. So as the towers were falling and we watched all that, I remember I had a gut feeling because I already something was telling me, and he came home and said, I'm going to Afghanistan. So I was pregnant. I just had found out I was pregnant with my second daughter a week after.
Oh, wow. And so he left basically immediately after the towers or in the middle of that?
A week
Wow.
after, yeah, he left a week after. So I was pregnant with, as I just found out my second daughter. So I chose to go back to Puerto Rico, where I started going to college. I actually started my degree while I was there. And so I really didn't get to talk to him much. I mean, I think really it was scary because at that time when that happened, the only way I felt like I would know if he was alive, I know this is gonna sound bad, but it was reading CNN at the bottom, the names of the deceased.
Oh,
So
wow.
I would read that every day, because I didn't know, right? I was like, that was my way of seeing if something happened to him because he couldn't call me. And then one time he called me, and I remember he was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I just want you to know I can't tell you where I'm at. I can't tell you everything. I can't tell me anything." But I
Mhm.
could hear the gunshots in the background. I could hear the shooting happening, like they're in the middle of war. Because I think obviously he was the first unit into Afghanistan, so obviously I assumed that obviously they were like the Taliban and all that was like in full blown. Like it's
Right
just
there.
yeah.
Wow. And how long was he there for?
I'm not like I think he told me one. I don't know if he was there the whole 6 months. I don't think so because he came back 7 months after. But I know that they had some special missions and things he had to do because Ariel was selected to do some special missions. Like out of his group, they selected handpicked people to do special missions for in the hills of Kandahar.
Ugh, that sounds terrifying. I can't imagine being at home and then being pregnant with other kids and your husband being there. Did he ever, when he came home, obviously share anything that he saw there? Any like memorable things and that he'd seen?
Yeah, he shared a little bit. Believe it or not, we've been married this year it'll be 24 years, and I've really got more glimpse of what he did in the past 3. It
Oh.
takes war veterans, obviously I've learned this the hard way too. Like it takes a long time for them to open up about things and they don't want to talk about it, you know.
Mhm.
Like I'll
Right.
hear things like in his therapy, I might get a glimpse of things like. He has shared and but it's like I know that, for example, it's just living on the edge. You don't know when you're gonna get killed. You could be somewhere super dark. Somebody could come out of nowhere and kill you. I mean, that's really, things like that, or having to do things that, sometimes, it's hard to do, but you've been given a mission, like, right? You have to do you come in the military. I'm not in the military, but again, everything, if anybody out there listening and they're in the military, please correct me, send me a message. And I'm sorry if but that you're told to do something in order and you have to do it. There's no and ifs or buts.
Right. There's no questions. You do it. And since you're a spouse of somebody who was in the military, I consider you in the military. So, and what you say is true. So while your husband was in Afghanistan, was he hit with IEDs?
Yes, we recently talked about this because we're just discussing, like, there's some things that over the years we're just like we can't figure it out, like it's happening to him. And like, we know that he never got screened for TBI. So now we're in the process of going back to the VA. We actually saw a doctor this week. We're starting to go through the system to figure out, like, because um again, when you have brain injury, there's symptoms and signs, and like he never got tested. We're wondering, yes, so he did. So to answering the question, yes. And they exploded right next to him, like I think he said 2 or 3 times. Don't remember. Like
Oh,
I get glimpses of things. So this is one of the
yes.
things I didn't even know for like in the past year.
And I know, and I imagine they probably like bury this stuff and certain things and make it come out. I don't know because I don't know about this. That's why this is fascinating to me. So, your husband, is he considered disabled permanently because of his time serving in Afghanistan?
Yes, Ariel is considered by the Veteran Affairs a permanent total disabled, for, they call it in his paperwork, high anxiety disorder at the time when he got it, but it's really, they put it into parentheses now with, PTSD. So they changed it, by the way. It's not PTSD anymore. I think it's PSD, something like that, or PT. They've changed it. Like they're changing the wording now because I think they're doing a lot of research now and, correlating with the studies and changing the way it's being looked at, because there's a lot of stigma tied to this and the way people look at it, and they're trying to change it and make it in a way where like people can understand the condition and, and get educated properly.
Right. And I think a lot of people, because I mentioned this too, they don't understand what that really means when they say PSTD, anxiety. People who were in, us people who didn't go to the war. I mean, some of us may suffer from anxiety, but I feel like it's not anything in comparison to what your husband struggles with on a daily basis. And you being his wife, what would you say are some of the struggles that he has in his daily life?
So there is a physiological aspect of it. So even though it's something that starts up here, but it also reflects in his body, and it reflects, like, for example, he'll have prostrating headaches. So he'll be in bed all day for like from 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe sometimes it's like 24 hours completely where he's in bed all day. It has to do with like what's running in his brain, his nightmares, it could be his thoughts. All this can trigger. Sometimes if you have, like, for example, if they have too much stress going on, like, like things they're worried about, or even the news, by the way, like things that happen on the news can get them to
Mhm.
be riled up. So that'll trigger. So anytime there's triggers, it also triggers the physiological and then environment for them. But the biggest thing I think is environment. So the idea, the name of the game for me is every single day is what can I do to give them a good daily experience of life as much as possible, right? So my idea is like, so right now we're here doing this podcast and he's sleeping, right? So I don't know, we know we go to church, but right now when he doesn't wake up in the time we go, we have to wait till he wakes up, and then we kind of set our day. So
Okay.
we don't know
Mhm.
what we're sometimes. And what does that mean for me is sometimes things are planned and sometimes I have to reroute last minute to accommodate whatever is going on.
Going on with him, right.
Yeah.
And so how would you determine and, label, like, his quality of life? Do you think his quality of life right now is good for him? Does he feel happy at sometimes?
He feels grateful and happy. I think is deep inside. It's there are deeper things. Like, for example, struggling with finding purpose. That's a big thing. Like they don't have a sense of purpose, something waking up and be motivated to live day by day. I think he's learned to cope well with it. It's still there, but he's learned to kind of like surpass that and move forward, with like, like he gets up in the morning, he sits there and he needs like a couple minutes, maybe 15 minutes to kind of regroup. So I have to leave him. Like when he gets up, I have to let him have a space to do that so he can
Mhm.
tone for his day.
Right, because you don't know what he was thinking or going through his head at night when he was sleeping, what night terrors and stuff he was having. I just can't imagine that.
Yes,
Wow.
some of those nightmares can be very livid for them. What we call livid, like, you know, the smell, the sense, the touch, all of that can be it's almost like they're living it. Uh,
Real. Mhm.
yeah, and he's like, he'll talk about the smell of flesh, dead flesh, things like that.
Oh, wow. Mhm. That's very, ooh, that's very scary. And, what services are available for him to help him live his best life possible after serving our country?
Well, there's always we talk about the VA, and
Mhm.
I know the VA does their best. Obviously, we hear the plus and negatives out there, right? Like VA system is not perfect. But they try their best to give medication, support groups, therapy. Like I'm a caregiver, so I get right now I have a therapist I see, and it's just, they want to make sure I'm taken care of too. By the way, that's a whole nother topic. Like the
Yeah.
statistics, caregivers are the most unattended group in healthcare in the United States. Like there's a whole study about that. And but anyways, so the thing is I have my own caregiver so that helps me take care of him. And then in my case, so all this is related, right?
Yes.
If he's taken care of, I'm taking care, and then I'm taken care of, and that's where my mom comes in. My mom is like my life support system. So she's the caregiver to the caregiver. I call my mom that.
Mm-hmm.
And, she helps me out a lot. But like that's the VA. Then you also have the aspect of family and friends. So that's super important. Like we need to make sure the environment is conducive to positive. There can't be like, if we can't be around too much, like we have our own issues, so we can't bring in too much drama. So somebody like him, the services, I know it's like we're talking about VA, but I think more like community, right? So this part of that is the support of the community. For him, going to church helps him a lot. Like going to church, believe it or not, he's quite, you see him, he doesn't look like, but when you talk to him and you actually you talk to him, he'll tell you that his faith has helped him a lot with coping and moving forward the best that he can.
That's good. And so you said medications, because I've heard sometimes that they like say that they can have like a support dog, and they also talk about like horses and like swimming therapies. Do any of those really help, or has he tried any of those?
Yes, he has. We do have a dog, Stella, that she's his support dog. And that's the only thing that he's done. He doesn't like the horses.
Hmm.
They're all out there, by the way. Yes, by the way, if there's any veterans, there is a lot of amazing not-for-profits. They do a really good job catering to veterans, like retreats for caregivers and I mean, there's so much out there. Like there is. Forgot to mention that. But he has the dog. He doesn't like all the other stuff. Medications. He tried medications. It didn't work well for him. He had Botox and he had like a whole raunch come. His whole body broke out. So Botox didn't work well for him.
Oh,
And
like maybe the headaches. It's supposed to help with headaches for him or
yes,
something. Oh, wow. It didn't, because it's like a poison. So you have to be careful with that. Wow.
yeah, he broke out. Like he had hives like all over his body. It was not good.
Not good for him.
Yeah.
No. Because I watch, like, little clips here and there, and I was watching one yesterday, and it was about a vet who was a woman, um, Marines, I think, in Key West, and she was pulled over by the cops because she was passed out in her car. They assumed drunk, but she had hit and run, and she had her service dogs in her car with her, and they just sat there with her, and they wouldn't leave her, and they were happy, and they were trying to help her, but she just wanted to be able to sit on the curb while they asked her questions with her dog, and they couldn't let the dog out. But I just felt like, this woman served the country, and she just wanted her dogs, and she was probably drinking to escape, like she said, what was going on with her in her head. I just felt like she's so she didn't have anybody to help her, and I feel like that's so sad. So I'm so glad that your husband has you and your kids and your mom to help him, because there's so many people living in this world that are vets, and like the general public like us don't understand what PSTD really means. And people probably look at him and say, oh, he's fine, but you don't know what's going on within their body that affects them. Like you said, the headaches, I'm sure he gets like body pains, from the anxiety being tense and stuff like that. So it's a lot that we don't know about, that I think, like you said, they change the names and they try, but I don't really hear people talk about this all that much.
No, it is so this is the thing, right? They go to war. And so I was having this conversation last night. So they go to war, right? In my case, my husband wanted to serve. His dad was a Marine. He loved the service, all in good intentions, right? Very young. I was pregnant. So he was already going to go before that. Didn't matter. But anyways, he was good intentions. Goes to war. Guess what? Comes back, left a piece of him over there. Obviously, he's broken now. And now he has to come back and adjust to the world because the world doesn't adjust to him, obviously, right? And they get relationships are broken, things happen along the way because they're still trying to figure out their own process. And imagine the people around them too, right? Like me, my kids, we were all trying to figure this out. And the support system was very limited because when you don't know what's going on, right? You don't know where to go. And so how does this happen? How does this happen that, and this is just my story. I can't imagine. By the way, I'm part of these PTSD groups with women and their spouses. Like the things that I see posted, it's like, Ariel is good compared to some of the stuff I see.
Mhm.
Insane things that I see because, obviously there's that part they have to allow to get help, but what do you do? Like they went over there, they served, and now they come back and society is saying, well, you know what, I don't know what to do with you, so I just shun you out. Family says I don't know what to do with you, so I just shun you out, or I judge you, or I tell you how bad of a father you are, or how bad you're this, how bad you're that, right? And like there's really and I understand ignorance, right? Because they just don't know, right? If you
Right.
educate yourself or try to understand, seek to understand, you would maybe understand. But this is the world, right? There, it's insane. I don't get it still. I think what my husband did was so honorable. It doesn't matter what he's done. Like I listen, at least he came back and said, I'm gonna try to do this. There's one veteran, 1 in 22, right? That's what they say. Veterans commit suicide daily, and it's real.
Wow.
It's very real. Like they just give up. They're like, I'm done with this. I mean, I get it. Like you come do all these things for your country, and you come back, and I mean, there's a lot of good people, by the way. I'm not focusing, but there's a lot of great supporting people now. I'm just saying this in a sense of what somebody might be going through and thinking in their head.
Yeah, and I can imagine they come back, they feel alone, they got all this stuff going on in their head, and I could see why they would do that, why those stats are so high for people in the military, and what they've seen and what they've done. And, some people do say like the services that are available to them, it's not enough, but in anything else, there's pros and cons with everything in our life, and it's the support. Sometimes people like, especially men, they don't know like how to ask for help, or they don't understand, they think there's not supposed to need that. So I feel like it's great that you are so positive and so informational to tell people. And then you kind of talked about how you have a support group for yourself and a therapist and a caregiver. But what advice could you give to somebody who's a spouse of somebody who is serving in the military now or who, was in the past?
A spouse, to remember, why they fell in.
Oh no, we got something to do. Oh my god. We've still got everything we did.
We're going to go back and get her.
But she just, I don't know if she knows.
It didn't warn us, so I think it was still
Because we still have 5 minutes.
maybe her internet went out.
I think something happened now. Wait.
Okay.
Oh. She's
The most defining moment, and I kind of got out of the Zoom by mistake. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You got it?
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
All right. All right, there you go.
Perfect. So we can edit that part too. So what
Perfect.
advice would you have for a spouse of somebody who's in your position or who may be later on in your position and they don't know it yet?
Oh man. Ask for help. I mean, really ask for help. Be vulnerable. I mean, there's not, I mean, don't try to do this on your own. Like this is a big monster. And remember, if this is a loved one, a spouse, or remember why you fell in love with them in the first place, and learn to so this is another topic, but learn to detach PTSD and who the person really is, right? So there's two different things. And so understand that this person, if they are the way they are, it's not who they are. It's what they're going through who makes them react the way they do. But it's not who they are. They're probably wonderful people. Before they went to the war, they had beautiful things that now they can't do anymore, right? Because they lost that part of them. So be patient and learn to separate those two. Remember to look at those things that when you met them before, like all those nice things that maybe they don't do anymore, but remember that's who they are, and try to work with them to bring that out even more, right? That's the, what do you call that?
That's the
That's the goal.
goal. Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. We want to bring out those things. I mean, everybody, by the way, everybody knows when they're broken, they're broken. Like, I don't think you need to remind them every day of the bad things. Like, they already know that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great advice. And I feel like you're so selfless being that way because I think some people, some, women and men would be who are in your position would be too selfish to be patient enough and kind enough and understanding and loving enough to think that way. I mean, I think it's true. I wonder, maybe what's the rates of people that, marriages don't last after something like that. I'm sure it's really high that they break
Oh,
up.
it is. By the way, 70%, I don't know the statistics now. I mean, I might be exaggerating. If somebody knows homeless statistics, again, correct me. But the last time, one of the things I heard is 70% of homeless in Orlando are veterans.
Oh, I believe it. And I bet it's probably higher now, even more because of how expensive everything is in the economy, and they probably need to up their pay, their
Oh
pension.
no, a lot of these veterans have their pensions. It has nothing to do with money. They're out there because guess what? They have, their family can't stand them already, and they believe that they just want to live secluded from society because they feel like they don't belong anymore, and it's just easier, more peaceful for them to be homeless, to be somewhere where they're not bothering anybody and they're not being bothered. That's the real reason. Not, I'm not saying all of them, but that there was some statistics correlating to that.
Oh, wow. Wow. This is like a lot. I feel like a half an hour doesn't cover this. We need you to come back. We
Oh
need
yeah.
you to come back, and when we share this, it's going to be shared and comments and other topics that people want to talk about, because I want to dive more into about support for the spouse and support for your husband. And also, I want to give you the opportunity to promote your business because you're a realtor, an investor in the community, also a mentor. So I want to give you the opportunity to provide us with your contact information right now, and then have you back on to talk about how you fit all of that, being a mother, in with your real estate business and helping for your husband and taking care of yourself, because you look great. So I don't know how you do all this. Honestly. Yeah, I feel
Uh,
like I thank you, like, I'm so moved right now, I almost wanna bust out in tears, but because I'm so, like, I know people thank you, they always say, "Oh, oh, you're a vet," but I'm, like, so grateful to your husband, like, at this time, because I feel like a lot of us don't realize what we have here, and he went over there in his 20s, I'm assuming, when
mhm.
we were all back here sitting in our houses, all comfortable, drinking our Cokes and stuff like that while he was out there seeing horrible things. And then you stick with him and you keep doing this like every day. I feel like we owe you and your husband Ariel like everything. I feel like
Oh,
whatever he wants. I feel like, and you too for that. So share with us your contact information. If someone's looking to buy or sell a house or in a tough situation and they don't know what to do, they can reach out to you.
anytime. Yeah. So yes, my phone number is 321-217-5362, and they can text me. My email, I think it's my work email. It's actually easier. That's Liz at Ignis Homes, IGNISHOMES.com. And yeah, anybody that's struggling, like, don't be ashamed to reach. There's nothing that probably you're gone through, I haven't gone through, so don't just reach out and ask for help. It doesn't matter. I'm not a veteran, but I know people in the community that are veterans, and they do a really good job helping veterans in Orlando.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll have you back in like a month or so and we'll dive deep into more of these topics.
Love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
Have a
welcome.
great day. So thanks so much for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe and be sure to leave a review as well. We appreciate it so much. Share as much as you can. Also, contact us directly if you would like to join as a guest. We're looking for any guest who wants to share either an inspiring story, a hobby, a travel that they've done, or their exciting career, or just to have a conversation about real life events. We're always open to that. We are planning episodes bi-weekly, so that's twice a month. We can accommodate you via Zoom or in person. Also, continue to follow us for updates on our socials. Facebook, it's Secured Insurance Group. On Instagram, it's Colleen Insurance Lady 22. This podcast was hosted by myself and Sean Spazzato, and it was recorded, of course, and edited by Sean Spazzato. I don't really know how to do that. Our podcast cover art was designed by Norma Pacheco, and the intro and the outro music is by Lounge Bar by Geronik. Goodbye and have a good day.